let's move on from Beverly Hills and let's move on over to Joyzy. Let's talk Pizza Gate. Oh my God, I feel like my Invisalign just like has my speech all over the place. So I do apologize, guys, if it is intolerable. Please let me know. My gums are killing me. So if you give me a reason to take them out, I wouldn't hate it. Okay, Pizzagate. So this is all according to Your Moms Are Watching on Instagram, who I'm assuming spoke to the Gorgas and got like some email receipts to back a lot of this stuff up. So it sounds like Louis and Joe early on hit it off when Louis first came around. And according to Joe, Louis likes quick deals. Rather than long-term business investments, he likes quick cash, right? I can see that. Why else doesn't he have any like long-standing business, right? That's his own or whatever the case may be. He makes short-term deals with the big fast ROI. Fine. Okay. I'm not against that. If that's how he chooses to make his money, that's his business. I don't know how sustainable that is, but he also says his most recent business venture is direct-to-consumer marketing. It did give me a little bit of Jen Shah vibes, but listen, anyone can do it legally without scamming elderly people. That was one of Jen Shah's arguments in court, was that there was a part of her business that was technically legal. She just happened to really lean into the illegal side of it, which is true. Direct-to-consumer marketing is not illegal, but a lot of people definitely stretch their luck. So Joe apparently shares his idea with Louis for this subscription-based pizza kit that comes with pizza ovens, right? Or comes with a pizza oven. You get the pizza oven, and then you have the subscription for these different, pizza kits. Different recipes. It was Joe and Teresa's way of honoring Nono, their father, and it was like Nono's Pizza, right? Cute little family business. Makes sense to me. Louis has money. Joe and Teresa have the face, which has marketability and a pre-existing built-in fan base with Real Housewives of New Jersey. Okay, makes sense. Louis would technically be their investor, and he would use them as the marketing props, right? So Joe Gorga wanted to order a very high volume of these pizza ovens. I'm assuming he thinks that they were going to sell really well. Louis was hesitant. Sounds like he may have either not been totally confident that they'd sell as much inventory as Joe was looking to buy up front, or Louis didn't want to put down that kind of money, which also makes me think, okay, well, either you don't have the money or you don't believe in this business. Louis paid for the manufacturing of the ovens, which I assume was, what he spent the alleged $250,000 on that they're claiming on the show, because it is said on the show that Teresa claims that he lost $250,000. But currently, if you go online, you can see that those ovens, I believe Your Moms Are Watching bought one of those ovens, one of the skinny Italian ovens. They're selling for like $79 online. So if $79 is the retail markup for these ovens that Louis invested in for this No-No's Pizza business, then the at-cost price had to have been much lower. So how many ovens did he actually produce to spend $250,000 if the markup was $79, or if the retail price was $79 with markup? So he spent, that's a lot of ovens that he would have had to have bought, and a photo shoot that had to have been wildly expensive in order for him to just blow $250,000. Now, they make it seem like he lost $250,000. But if these pizzas, the skinny Italian concept that they've now re-envisioned, if that's up for sale, then you technically didn't lose $250,000. You invested $250,000 in a business that's now available, that you're now marketing technically on Real Housewives of New Jersey. That's hardly a loss unless they don't sell and the business goes under. So Louis got the ovens. I guess Teresa and he went to some like tasting of the pizza kits and the recipes that Joe was envisioning without Joe Gorga, though, as they went to this tasting, which Joe Gorga later finds out about later. So they did the tasting, and then he finds out that they ended up having a photo shoot done with new marketing, no longer calling the kits No-No's Pizza, and now they're calling them Skinny Italian, which is inspired by Teresa's cookbooks, which, if you think about, Skinny Italian came out after Skinny Girl. So it sounds like this kind of it sounds like the cheater brand storyline on Tipsy Girl. We're kind of rolling with this skinny concept. I remember after Skinny Girl Margarita came Fabellini cocktails, which were part of the Skinny Italian brand. Just throwing that out there. But on the show, the story is that Louis offered Joe 5%. Joe wasn't happy about that, so he pieced out, right? Joe claims that he was willing to put up the money so that they could be 50-50 partners. But then he saw that they had changed the marketing, or tweaked the concept, did a photo shoot without him, and that's ultimately what hurt him, is that Skinny Italian doesn't have a place for Joe Gorga, and this was originally his idea to honor their father and not let it be a Skinny Italian brand, but for it to be called No Nose Pizza, and for it to be this subscription kit, pizza oven, whatever, concept that Joe had. Now, I believe the pizza ovens are kind of like a regular thing that gets manufactured. Like it's, the pizza oven concept isn't new. People sell pizza ovens similar to Sonia Morgan's toaster oven that never came to fruition. But the subscription model is, I think, what was unique about this specific pizza oven. Which, if it is his idea and they took it to make it Teresa's business for whatever reason, that makes sense as to why they'd only offer 5% with no equity in the business that Joe's putting up, right? A 5% thank you for this idea. Here's a courtesy offer. We'll give you some, a cut of it, right? Because like I said, when I brought up the 5% that Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz each have in TomTom, it's Lisa Vanderpump's business, but they each invested $50,000 and she gave them 5%. So why would Louis just give a courtesy 5% without, why would he offer him 5% if there wasn't something to gain? And if it wasn't marketability, because Joe was no longer going to be the face of this, maybe it was for the idea, is kind of what I'm thinking. So Joe claims that after he found out about all of this, he went off on Louis. He said that he was really hurt and he just went in, right? I don't know if they were phone calls or text messages or whatever, but he went off on Louis and Teresa. Joe claims that after that, Louis ghosted him. And that's really where things started to break down. I want to know what the timeline of all this is, because I do see both sides and I can see it swaying both ways, right? I can see how Joe, if he wasn't putting the money down but wanted more than 5%, Louis would then see a way to cut Joe out but still run with the idea and now just use Teresa to sell it because we already have all the contacts, we already have contacts, and we already have everything ready to go. But I can also see Louis being like, well, we already paid for these ovens, might as well put them to good use and still sell them. But we just won't call it No-No since that was Joe's idea. We'll just pivot it to Teresa's Skinny Italian pizzas. So I don't love that Teresa and Louis are making it seem like they lost, or that Louis lost all this money and it was such a big loss for them, because it wasn't. They didn't lose the money. They reinvested the money and are currently selling Skinny Italian pizzas. So I feel like I'm kind of leaning towards believing more of the Gorgas here, unless it really was about the upfront equity, which is the reason Joe was only offered 5% and then they pivoted from there. Then that makes it look like Joe wanted more ownership with little investment. So I can see why they'd cut him out and move on with the idea. But apparently this is also what led to some friction with Dina's husband, which we saw in Jersey this week, who also went into business with Louis, and that apparently fell through as well. Listen, I think Louis is a capitalist, and I think Jersey guys are more about values over profit. Jersey's more family values. Jersey's more about the mom and pop shops rather than big, venture capitalist companies that are going to take over the world. They just come from different worlds, right? So Louis wants to make a lot of money, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but I think that he wants to make the most money at the table. Is that a crime? Not necessarily, but then that's why you can't do business with family and friends. If you want to get greedy, it's fine to be greedy in a capitalist world. Morally, people may not love that, but listen, it's a capitalist world. And if you want to be a capitalist, that's how you get ahead. That's just the reality. Call a spade a spade. However, it's not necessarily what you're going to do. It's not the type of business you can be doing with family or friends. We have the reunion that finally films next week. Andy Cohen and Dolores Catania, both on Watch What Happens Live, said that they are not looking forward to it and can't see how this is going to go down, but we'll see what happens. I can honestly see the show moving forward without Teresa. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I can actually see Teresa and Louis spearheading their own spinoff with their blended family, and it'll get a few seasons, right? It'll go for a while, like Don't Be Tardy with Kim Zolciak. I actually think that's probably the best move for Teresa, to cut out the toxicity of Housewives and be happy and live in her love bubble without all the drama. It may not be as lucrative as Housewives in terms of marketability on TV, but I'm sure they can start to build a life off of TV from here. And this is kind of a bridge to build their next chapter, maybe outside of reality TV. Maybe they can pivot into something else. Maybe Teresa can try to land her own cooking show somewhere. I don't see that as a bad thing. I think it's a gateway to get them out of Housewives land. Like Bethany, she was able to get out of Housewives land by launching Bethany Ever After. Ultimately, her relationship fell apart and she didn't want to do Bethany Ever after all. But I think that was one of her strongest projects that was actually successful after Housewives, aside from, Skinny Girl being sold. But I feel like Real Houses of New Jersey can move forward with the new blood of Danielle and Jen Fessler and Rachel Fuda. I can even see them bringing in Danielle's brother for the new era of Jersey family drama. And I can actually see that doing well, especially since Housewives is starting to build new fans and is kind of developing a newer audience. A new audience will then be invested in Danielle and her brother's family drama because that would be new for them. Maybe for older Housewives fans, it might be fatiguing, or maybe it might be interesting to see somebody else's family drama. But I feel like Jersey Housewives is about family. I don't think Jersey is necessarily about Teresa anymore. It was, but I feel like Teresa's moved on to a new chapter beyond Housewives at this point. And the best time and place to do that is right after getting married. So let me know what you think. Can the show move on without Teresa? The big question.